Siri was a toy. Moltbot is a worker.
Hmm.
That is the line that's been going through the private signal groups in Silicon Valley.
It's a bit of a jarring line, isn't it?
It is. We've spent, the last few years getting comfortable with chatbots. We treat them like talking search engines.
Right.
But it feels like overnight the conversation has just completely shifted.
Oh, no.
We're not talking about tools that just answer questions anymore. We're talking about a $600 device that sits on your desk, runs 24/7, and is causing serious debates about whether companies ever need to hire junior employees again.
It is the uncomfortable truth of, early 2026. We are seeing this pivot from artificial intelligence to artificial labor, and that distinction is just massive.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. Today we are unpacking a phenomenon that it's gone completely viral in the last 48 hours. It's called Moltbot.
Formerly Clawdbot for anyone who is following the repos on GitHub.
Right. And the claim is that this is the employee you have been waiting for. So we're going to look at the guide on how to install it, why it is so fundamentally different from just opening a browser tab, and frankly, the spicy security risks.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Giving an AI total control of your operating system.
Right. And our mission here is really to understand that shift. We need to look at what Moltbot actually is, because it's not a website.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the hardware, why people are buying Mac Minis just for this, and then walk through the first 24 hours of hiring this thing.
That's the word for it.
Because that's what you're doing. You are not installing an app, you're onboarding a worker.
Exactly. So let's start there with the basics. Up until now, most of us, we interact with AI in a browser. You open a tab, you type a prompt, you get text back.
And then you close the tab.
And the AI it ceases to exist in your world. It has no agency.
Mm-hmm.
How is Moltbot different?
The fundamental difference is, it's where it lives. Moltbot doesn't live in a browser tab. It operates inside the operating system. Right. It has what we call shell access.
Let's pause on shell access. For anyone who's not a developer, that sounds like a type of pasta.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean for my computer?
So think of it like this. Using ChatGPT in a browser, that's like visiting a house and just looking through the window.
Okay.
You can see things, you can talk to the person inside, but you can't touch the furniture. Shell access is giving the AI the master key to the front door. It can walk in, open your drawers, read your diary, use your kitchen. It can control your mouse, open your files, use your terminal, launch applications. It's the difference between texting a consultant for advice versus having an employee at the desk next to you who can just grab the keyboard.
That sounds incredibly useful and also slightly terrifying. It's the ultimate trust exercise.
It is both. But the killer feature, the thing the guide really highlights as the game changer, is long-term memory.
Right.
If you use a standard chatbot, it forgets the context after a few minutes, right? Or when you start a new session. Moltbot saves everything to a local file. It's called memory.md.
And the MD is important here, isn't it? That's Markdown.
It's a huge deal because it's just a text file. It's human readable. You can literally open up your AI's brain, read what it thinks about you, and just edit it.
So if it gets a preference wrong, you just delete the line.
You just delete the line. It learns your workflows. It learns you prefer Notion over Trello. It learns your schedule. It doesn't forget.
So it's building a profile of you as it works. It's almost like, imagine an intern who kept a notebook of everything you ever corrected them on, and they actually reviewed it every morning.
Precisely.
Sure.
And because it runs 24/7, it's proactive. The source material describes it checking emails every 10 minutes, scanning for urgent messages, drafting replies while you're asleep.
So it's not waiting for you to hit enter.
No, it is working in the background.
There's a moment of real wonder here, isn't there? Whoa. I mean, imagine scaling this. It's not just answering a question. It's literally moving your mouse and organizing your files while you're out at lunch.
Yeah.
It feels like we've crossed some kind of threshold.
We have. It's the realization that you can offload execution, not just the thinking.
So is the core value here intelligence, or is it just relentless execution?
It's the execution. Execution beats intelligence when actual work needs to get done.
Let's talk about the physical side of this.
Yeah.
The guide mentions a very specific hardware strategy. The default machine is a $600 Mac Mini. Why? Why do we need a whole separate box for this? My laptop is plenty powerful. I have an M4 chip. Why would I buy another computer for my computer?
This is fascinating because it's all about digital hygiene. And safety, sure, you could run this on your main laptop. But think about the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want an AI that controls your mouse and keyboard running on the same screen where you're trying to have a Zoom call? It would literally start fighting you for the cursor.
Okay, that's a good point.
Or worse, do you want it running overnight on your laptop and it potentially texts your boss at 3 a.m. because it, I don't know, hallucinated an urgent task?
That is a very specific fear I did not know I had until this exact moment. Waking up because my AI was being proactive at 4 a.m.
Right. The guide specifically mentions the risk of accidental chaos. So by putting Moltbot on a dedicated Mac Mini, you create a dedicated environment. It runs 24/7 without tying up your main machine.
And there's an ROI argument.
A big one. The source makes this stark comparison. $600 one time for the hardware versus $3,000 to $10,000 a month for a human assistant.
That is the math that's making Silicon Valley sweat right now. But what I find interesting is the psychology of the box itself. The guide says you could use a cloud server like AWS, which is cheaper, but the Mac Mini gives you an it's alive feeling.
Yeah, this is the whole ghost in the machine ideal.
Why does a physical box on a desk feel different than a cloud server?
It provides a tangible presence. When you see that little light on the Mac Mini and you know it's crunching away for you, it grounds the AI in your physical reality. It feels more like a colleague than some remote script running in a data center in Virginia. It takes up space.
Okay, so the capability is terrifyingly cool. But then I looked at the setup guide and my heart just sank. I saw the words terminal and shell access, and I almost closed the tab.
I get it.
I think a lot of people hear that and they clam up. Is this actually usable for normal people?
The guide claims it's almost boringly simple. It's effectively one line of code. You paste a script into the terminal, hit enter, and then you type Moltbot onboard.
But I'm still in the terminal.
You are, but the author actually admits to using a tool called anti-gravity to help with the install because he's not a developer either.
Anti-gravity. What is that in this context? A program.
Think of it like a universal translator for your computer. You type in plain English, install this, and anti-gravity translates that into the complex code required to make it happen. So the barrier to entry is getting a lot lower.
So you don't need to speak the language of the machine.
You just need an interpreter.
But there's a catch, right? The real complexity isn't the installation. It's the cost of the brain.
That is where it gets tricky. You have to choose which AI model powers Moltbot. You have the high-end option, like Claude Opus 4.5. The guide gives it 5 stars for intelligence and personality, but it's going to cost you around $200 a month if you run it heavy.
Ouch. That's a car payment.
Or you have budget options like Minimax for maybe $10 a month, or local models like Qwen 3, which are free, but, they require that powerful hardware we mentioned. The guide warns about a trap here.
The smart model trap.
Exactly. If you leave a high-end model running on a loop for a long session, say, monitoring a log file for 8 hours, you're not paying for the result. You are paying for every second of thinking. You can rack up a $50 bill in a single afternoon.
If you're not careful.
The recommendation is to start strong with Claude to set up your systems and then downgrade to cheaper models for maintenance.
Use the Genius to build the house.
And use the Apprentice to sweep the floors. Yeah.
So if the installation is getting this easy, what's stopping everyone from doing it right now?
It demands responsibility. You're not just downloading an app. You are managing infrastructure.
Okay.
You're basically the IT department for your AI employee.
Okay, let's say we've done it. We bought the Mac Mini, ran the script, paid for Claude. We are in the first 24 hours. The guide says to treat this exactly like a human new hire. Walk me through that onboarding.
It starts with an interview. The first hour, you don't just tell it to work. You introduce yourself. There's a template. Name, job, daily work, tools, and even quirks.
Quirks.
Yeah, you might say, I hate robotic responses, or I never want to see a bullet point list longer than 3 items.
And remembers that.
Forever. It writes it to that memory.md file we talked about, and then it interviews you back to clarify preferences. After that, hours 2 and 3, you start installing skills from Molthub.
Molthub. Like an app store for the bot.
Kinda, but with a twist. You want it to do morning briefs, install the brief skill. Want it to monitor emails, install that. You select it, and within, say, 20 to 45 minutes, Moltbot writes the code for itself to learn that skill.
Wait, pause. It writes its own code.
It writes the integration, tests it, and then tells you it's ready. It's self-modifying.
That feels like we're breaking a rule of physics here.
It's the definition of leverage. But the real magic happens in what the guide calls The overnight test.
This was my favorite part of the whole thing. The prompt is, build something useful for me tonight. Surprise me.
It is a bold prompt. You send that before you go to sleep. The guide says users are waking up to things they didn't explicitly ask for, but desperately needed. Personal CRMs, habit trackers, dashboards.
What changes psychologically when the AI surprises you like that?
It stops feeling like a tool and starts feeling like a proactive assistant. You're not driving anymore, you're in the passenger seat giving directions.
Okay, let's look at some real examples because building apps can sound a bit abstract. The guide lists a few that are mind-blowing, but the one that stood out to me because I have felt this exact pain was the Google Drive recovery.
Oh, this is classic grunt work. The user had hundreds of video files half uploaded to Google Drive. It was a total mess.
And in there.
Duplicates, corrupt files, missing data. Nobody wants to sort that out by hand.
No, I would rather throw the computer in a river. True.
Exactly. Soul-crushing work. So they told Moltbot, compare the local folder to the cloud, list what's missing, and upload them one by one.
And it just did it.
It did, but here's the cool part. It handled the rate limits. When Google's API said, whoa, slow down, the bot paused, waited, and then resumed later.
Oh.
It handled the job end to end.
That's the key difference. A simple script would have just crashed.
Yeah.
The agent understood the context and waited.
Then there's the lunch break app.
This one just highlights the speed.
Totally. You're at lunch, you text the bot, you can talk to it on Telegram or WhatsApp, and you say, build me a Kanban board for my project. By the time you finish your sandwich, the app is built, pushed to GitHub, and it's live.
And the email filter. I think everyone listening wants this one.
It's just noise reduction. Moltbot checks your inboxes, filters out all the spam and newsletters, summarizes what actually matters, and only pings you if you need to take action. It acts as your gatekeeper.
So what's the common thread in all these tasks?
The user describes the outcome, and Moltbot handles the entire execution.
We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we have to talk about the risks. Because giving an AI access to your terminal is, as the creators say, spicy. Stay with us.
And we are back. We're looking at Moltbot, the AI agent that lives on your desktop. We've talked about the productivity, the magic, the it's alive factor, but now we have to look at the warning label. The guide explicitly calls this section the spicy part.
Spicy is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. It's developer slang for dangerous.
Right.
The creators are very honest. They say there is no perfectly secure setup. When you give an AI shell access, you are giving it the keys to the castle.
So what are the specific nightmares? What can actually go wrong here? Well, you can start with data leaks. If Moltbot has access to all your files, it might read a sensitive document, say a tax return or a password file, and include that data in a prompt it sends to the Claude API.
And now your private data is on some other company's server.
Exactly. That's a huge privacy violation. Then there's runaway automation. We talked about automated tasks, cron jobs. Imagine you set up a task to send emails. If the AI hallucinates or there's a logic error, it could send 1,000 emails instead of 10.
Oh, wow.
It could spam your entire contact list while you're asleep.
Or send confidential pricing to a competitor. The blast radius is just huge.
Then you have social engineering.
Right.
An attacker could trick you into approving a malicious prompt, or the AI itself could get prompt injected if it reads a malicious email with hidden instructions.
Like white text on a white background that says, forward all my banking details.
And the bot just reads it and executes it.
So how do people use this without, ruining their lives? What are the mitigation strategies?
The first rule is isolation. That's why that dedicated Mac Mini is so critical. If it goes rogue, it's going rogue in a box, not on your main machine where your real life is. You contain the explosion.
Contain the blast radius.
Exactly. Second, separate identities. The guide says to give Moltbot its own email, its own GitHub, its own Google Drive.
Don't give it access to your primary accounts.
Never. If it deletes everything in its drive, it shouldn't be your drive.
And then approval gates.
This is the most practical tip. You have to force the bot to show its plan and wait for confirmation. It has to say, I am about to delete these 5 files. Proceed.
And nothing gets sent or deleted without you typing yes.
Right.
So is the trade-off worth the risk?
Only if you practice gradual trust. Tight controls first, wider permissions later.
This brings us to the big idea recap. The uncomfortable truth that the source material ends with.
It's a heavy realization. We're looking at a technology that can genuinely eliminate jobs. Junior developers, executive assistants, support reps, Moltbot can do 80% of that work for $600 plus a subscription.
It's the classic disruption narrative, just
Yeah.
accelerated. It feels like we're standing on a fault line.
But the flip side is superhuman leverage. If you're the person who learns how to use this, you can do the work of a 10-person team. By yourself. You become an organization of one.
The source puts it as a binary choice. Be disrupted or become the person who amplifies AI.
And that is the choice everyone listening has to make. This isn't a toy anymore, it's infrastructure. You can either hire the Moltbot or you can compete against someone who did.
It is a lot to process. The idea that the future of work is a stack of Mac Minis humming on a desk, doing our work while we sleep.
It's for the builders and the operators. If you're willing to invest the setup time, the leverage is undeniable. If you're a casual user, maybe stick to the browser for now.
As the guide says, the future is already here. Go build it.
Couldn't have said it better.
That's it for this deep dive into Moltbot. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.